Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. If you are new to my channel, my name is Amy. I love all things makeup, skincare, beauty, just everything, subscription boxes, palettes, so lots and lots of stuff. So be sure that you go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I would really appreciate it so that you can see my other videos and hopefully hang around with us for a bit. So let me not chat too much. We do have the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night palette that we're going to be reviewing. This is a highly anticipated palette. I think it was sometime in 2018 when this was like a sneak peek and people were like, oh, I want it. And I was right there with them. It's so much time had passed that I'd forgotten about it. So a couple months ago when I started seeing like the teasers for like, oh, it's going to be coming, I'm like, are you sure? And lo and behold, it did come out in December. I got it as a Christmas gift. It did arrive a little bit late, but so many issues with postal service, so I don't even care. I got it the day after Christmas, actually. So yeah, Starry Night palette. It is absolutely beautiful. So let me just start by saying the packaging, like 100% beautiful. They do everything themed as books. Obviously this is themed after a painting, but I love that they still did it in the book style. But the sleeve, which for once I think I'm actually going to keep the sleeve, is like a frame that you can pull off, and then you have the painting. It is also textured. I don't know how well you can see that, but there is like texture, like it's actually painted on there, and it is 100% beautiful. I feel like execution of the palette is 10 out of 10. It's stunning. This is my favorite painting. I'm not a connoisseur of art, but I've always loved Starry Night. I love the Scream. There are a few paintings that are just like, wow, if I want to see those in person, you know? So this is beautiful. On the mirror, it says, "For my part, I know nothing with any certainty, but the sight of the stars makes me dream." A quote from Vincent van Gogh, and I'm going to try to show you the mirror there with the quote so you can see. Beautiful. And here we have the colors in the palette. You have 12 shades in total. Absolutely beautiful, and as you can see, it pulls directly from the colors in the painting, so you are going to have a lot of blues, which I anticipated and I was ready for. So you have in total 4 bluish shades. So I'll just give you guys a close-up if you want to see the colors and names. If you want to take a little screenshot or you want to pause it, you can look at every single color. I'll do some swatches at the end once I dig in and see what we use first. But you also have a couple that are silvery, something orange, a little yellow, and it's just like the beautiful little bits in the sky. So I think it's a beautiful palette. Now, there are only 12 shades, and this is priced at $60. That is high for a palette, I'm not gonna lie. Like $60 for 12 shades is pretty high up there, considering that there are so many brands that put out beautiful palettes that are far less expensive and really good quality. I have had 2 palettes from Storybook Cosmetics. One of them I thought was amazing. It was a small one. And then when I got the bigger one, I remember thinking like it just wasn't quite the same. And that was when they were having their products in BoxyCharm and in Ulta. And I was thinking like, well, maybe it's because like they amped up production from like this tiny business. Maybe there were, you know, bad batches, or maybe they use a different lab. I had no idea, but I just knew it was a little bit different. Also, one little feature I didn't point out yet is there is a drawer. So of course you have the book look of it, but there is a drawer in the bottom which you pull out and you have the painting. It's beautiful. So this is just like a flat. It doesn't have the texture of the outside, and on the back as well. I think it's a very unique, cute little touch to it. So you just have this compartment. You can use it to store things. You can just use it to look at how beautiful, you know, the painting is. I do think though that like if you wanted to travel with this palette, like you just really wanted to use this palette in particular, you could actually put like lip liners and eyeliners and things like that in here. So you could use it for a practical purpose, but I do think it's really a nice touch. It is a little bit bulky for sure with the packaging, but you're getting the drawer and you're getting, you know, the beautiful look of the packaging, which I think is more the point than anything else. So without further ado, I think we can go ahead and start trying things out. I kind of want to do a halo eye, but I'm not like dead set on it. So I'm just going to see how that first little boom application goes. This is one of our palette of the days as well. Somebody asked me, like when I started posting on Instagram about what I was going to do with the using a palette a day, somebody said, well, what about new palettes? You aren't going to post new palettes? I'm like, no, that's not the point. I'm not just trying to only use the palettes that I have. That is the focus of it, like using what I have and, you know, seeing what's good, what do I want to keep, what, if anything, is maybe it's time to let go of. And somebody was kind of questioning me on Instagram today about, you know, why get rid of discontinued products? Why, you know, why do influencers, which I hardly consider myself that at all, FYI, but like, why do people get rid of palettes? And I personally get rid of palettes if I don't like them. If they're really, really old, like sometimes palettes do get old, powders. Most of the time I keep them though. Like if it's a powder, I don't really mind. For me personally, I do keep a lot of my palettes. I may not share them as much as like, ooh, you should totally pick up this palette if it's not available or something, obviously. But I think it's nice to keep other palettes and revisit them, and I'll still use, you know, older palettes, but at a certain point when you have so many palettes, it's like, okay, I should really narrow it down to the palettes that I really want to use. For me, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I feel like I just have so many palettes that it's just like a never-ending cycle, but I like decluttering palettes too. I don't know. When you keep collecting them more and more and more, you do kind of get the urge to clear out some. So I've started with the shade Venus, that is that middle top row, and this is like, to me, the quintessential blue in this palette. Now I did do something kind of bold by putting on all my face makeup before, so I'm gonna add a touch of powder where I would typically get some fallout, and if I need to touch up anything else afterwards, I will, but hopefully if anything falls out, then I can sweep it off easily. Okay, that's really pigmented. This is gonna look really messy at first. So if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, I get it. I'm just gonna place my colors a little bit. Ooh, it is super pigmented. Maybe I should have done my eyes first, but it'll turn out just fine. As long as you're taking out the excess off your brush, you shouldn't have too much fallout. This is super pigmented, but it's looking gorgeous so far. I'm using Cypress, which is a little bit lighter, brighter blue right up under the Venus that we used, to kind of give a little bit of a gradient to these colors. I want to ask your experience. Let me know if any of you guys have, if you're fans of Storybook Cosmetics, have you ever gotten their subscription, their book club? Because I had no idea this existed. So I found out about it only after I looked at this palette, and I was like, oh my God, how did I not know about this? And I was immediately like, yes, I need to do this, because I love books, I love makeup, and I love subscriptions. So I was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, why didn't I know about this sooner? But apparently it touts that it's a monthly subscription, and then I found some information somewhere that said, well, it's more like bi-monthly, and then I think with COVID too, it kind of made it worse, but it's been going on for quite some time. But I cannot find any information about, like, if I subscribe today, will I get you know, the previous palette, or will I only get like the newer ones when they launch, or what? And so I emailed like 2 weeks ago, and apparently they just don't respond to customer service emails. You know, it has been over the holidays, so I gave like the benefit of the doubt, but then I decided, let me go look at their Instagram and see. A lot of people had commented that they aren't responding to their emails and stuff, which this palette, the ordering of this palette went perfectly. I asked Zach, because I'm like, hey, I know you got me this palette, but I'm not getting any answer from customer service. Like, did you need any help, or how did it go? And he said it was perfectly smoothly, like it was shipped pretty fast, and he felt like it went really well. So purchasing, I don't think is a big deal, but I was really confused that, you know, this is a smaller business. It's by 3 sisters on this company, and, you know, I would think, I'm like, okay, well, COVID, I'm sure, is a hard time for smaller indie brands. I mean, I don't even know what that experience is like. I'm like, well, you know, I'll wait a while and see, but I'm sure they'll reach out, because, you know, they're a small business and they want to, you know, retain their clientele, and, you know, I don't know how many people they have working for them, but at least they'll be the ones answering some questions. Apparently they don't really have people working. They have like 1 person, and I don't know, if it were me, I would be answering emails from home. I don't really understand what the issue is, but apparently other people have had the same feelings about it, because I saw a lot of like really annoyed messages on some of their Instagram posts. But at any rate, the subscription itself looks so cute. It's like 3 eyeshadows and a lip product and a little book. And I was like, this is the cutest idea. I love it. I want it. And then I was just like kind of cautious about ordering because I don't know, people were saying they have been charged but not gotten anything for so many months. If I do sign up, I'm probably going to get charged, and then who knows when I'll get the subscription. So they have a couple of the books for sale on their website, but you have to get it with this like really ornate, beautiful brush, and I just really wanted the books personally. So I don't know, I just don't know how I feel about that. Okay, this palette is not laying down in the most perfect way ever, but I think I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of work, you know, to get it to blend the way that I want. Overall, it's beautiful. The colors are really pigmented. I do like the way that this is turning out. So I'm gonna take the shade Man. I'm gonna go ahead and dab it in my corner. Okay, that's what I was hoping for. Sometimes I just want to lay down a certain color just to see how it's gonna look. Because usually I would do this last, but I really just wanted to kind of take a look at it. Ooh, this feels like a kind of wet formula. That's pretty. That's with no base. Like, that is pretty. Wow. That is an impressive shade. Okay, I'm gonna do some swatches because I've done so much of this look, but I haven't picked up several of these shades. So I'm swatching the bottom row. These are gorgeous. And once I did a little maneuvering of this shadow on the outer corner, it actually blended better. It just took a little bit more love, but I don't think it's bad by any means. Like, you can tell it looks gorgeous. This shade of Vincent looked like it was going to be gray, but it's actually this really beautiful blue. All right, so here's the swatches just directly on my arm. At the bottom, you have top row, and then you have this next row. Some of these are swatching really pretty, others are not, but some of the ones that are not swatching the best are actually performing pretty well because I have Venus on my eye, which is the darker blue, and it's performing better here than what I'm seeing in the swatch. So swatches don't always tell you everything. They're just a good indicator to see the color. Sometimes, especially with shimmers, they do tell you a little bit, but a lot of times with mattes, the swatch don't really do anything justice. So I'm having a hard time deciding what to put on my lower lash line. Like, I'm tempted to just go blue, but then this Nocturne green is really pretty too. Man is actually turning out more green in my inner corner as well. So I think I'm gonna go for that Nocturne. And I'm using what's left on this brush that has the shade Cypress on it, this lighter of the two blues, and kind of buffing out under it, so it's gonna be a little bit blue-green, something going on there. I love how this is turning out, so I'm gonna do my other eye off camera. I've been talking way too long as it is, and then I will show you the finished look and we'll talk about whether or not you need this palette. Alright, so here is my finished look. I do have to say that I love the way that this turned out. I really don't have any complaints about what I did. The only thing I could possibly say is that they took a good bit of blending. Like, this shade Cypress, which was this middle blue, was a little bit hesitant to blend right away, so it just took some time. But honestly, everything else turned out really well. The shimmer Rustic is beautiful. It gives like this galaxy type of vibe, which makes sense with Starry Night, but I think that the execution of this palette is really, really beautiful. I definitely want to continue to do looks with this. Even though I'm doing one palette at a time, I am like very intrigued to try this again and do something different. My only qualm about this palette is that it is $60. You are looking at only $5 a shade, so if you break it down like that, it's not that big of a deal. And this is an indie brand as well, so keep that in mind, that they don't have, you know, mass-produced manufacturing like ColourPop, for instance. I know that's a very different one, but it's just a good example because they can crank out the palettes in this big big factory and this big lab, and they are a much smaller company, so it does take more. Just buying the component for this, you know, if they're only purchasing 1,000 versus another brand purchasing 10,000, they're gonna have to pay more per package than a bigger brand would pay when they're ordering so many more. So I understand, like, that totally makes sense, but still, when it comes to like the consumer, it's all about what it's worth to you. So if you feel like you love Starry Night, you love the colors in the palette, you definitely want to branch out into some blues and greens, a little bit of silver. This is a beautiful palette. If this is something you would enjoy having, I do think that it is worth the money. It's a little bit pricey as some palettes go. I feel like everything turned out really beautiful. So I think this is a good palette. I'm really excited to have gotten it and be able to use it. I'm gonna flip the little sleeve back over because it is really pretty to have that with this little frame around it. I thought that was a nice touch. So let me know what you think about this palette, if it's one that you would pick up, or maybe this is a big pass for you. I mean, I feel like it encompasses enough of my favorite things. Like, I love bold colors, I love the painting, I love books, I love the aesthetic. So I'm all about it, and you know, it doesn't hurt to get it as a gift either. So maybe you want to request that for Valentine's Day or something like that, or if your birthday is coming up. I don't know if this will be a permanent thing, but it's not sold out yet. It's still available, so if you want to go and pick it up, you certainly can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and had fun hanging out with me. I'm gonna take some pictures of this look for my palette of the day, and I posted about on Instagram. But with me doing this palette of the day, and also just being like a new year and me being like, okay, I have too many palettes, I am being more selective about buying palettes this year. I do still want to purchase new palettes to review for you guys. So if you see any palettes that are coming out, that are launching, find me somewhere on Instagram or on one of my very recent videos. Like, just find my most recent video and be like, hey, I saw this palette, I think you should get it, and I will totally look into it. I did a poll for one of the new BH Cosmetic ones, and it's super close. Like, it was like 52-48%, like something like that. So I will do frequent polls on Instagram as well if I see new palettes that I think you guys might enjoy. That way you can let me know what you would be interested in. I really want to know like what you guys want to watch. Like, if I put out the review, you're actually going to watch it. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'd like to see this, but what's really going to pull you in and make you want to watch? That's what I want to know. So thank you guys so much for hanging with me. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.